right, we are live, I think. Let's see. Let's see everything. Just make sure that all the settings are good and everything, and that the audio is working on this, because it has been a while. It has been quite a few months. Let's just check the audio here. All right, sounds good. Sounds good. Sorry if there's like a bit of an echo there, but I just wanted to check that out. Okay, so that looks good. The stream quality looks good. Actually, when I was doing this a few months ago, it said that the quality, it was kind of going yellow and they gave green, yellow, red, and it was kind of yellow and red. So now it looks green, so that's awesome, excellent quality. So good stuff to see there. So yeah, everything looks to be good here on this end. So we'll get into things then. That might be the quickest we've ever done that, because I'm always checking. But anyways, so yeah, so this is the live stream going over. Oh, see, now it's in the yellow again, but it says it's still good, and it looks good on my screen. All right, so we'll go with it. So this is the stream for the top 5 TV shows of 2025, and then my top 10 episodes of 2025. I'm going to combine the two here. I usually do a video for this every year, but at this point, we're like into February now, and it's just, I did my tier list video a couple of weeks ago now, about a couple of weeks ago now. Talking about every single TV show I watched in 2025, and so I kind of gave my thoughts on, I treat that video almost like a mini review, basically, of every show, and then I rank them, right? So it's a little bit more than a tier list video, but anyways, I did that video, and so I thought, I don't know, like now we're into February, it's just a little late for this stuff, so I thought we'll do a stream, and we'll, cover my TV shows and episodes, because I still want to talk about these in some capacity on the channel. So we'll get that opportunity to do that now. And then I will still be doing my most anticipated video. Hopefully that'll be up tomorrow or the next day. So I talk about, usually about 10 new shows and then 10 returning shows that I'm looking forward to in the year. So hopefully we'll still do that video. And then I still want to do my award show, which I'm putting together as of now. And that'll probably be in a live stream format as well. Maybe next week or, in a few days from now. I don't know. I'm not sure exactly when, but, hopefully we'll be doing that too. So, and then finally, after all that, then we can actually get into 2026 about a month later, even though there's been only, I think, 2 shows that I, have been or wanted to check out in the month of January up to this point anyways. So not like I've missed much. There hasn't been, I guess Fallout, but technically I'm counting that as like a 2025 show, a 2026 show. But it kind of did premiere in December. So there's been a couple shows, but haven't missed much anyways. So we'll stick with that. So anyways, with all that being said, of course, and then we'll also get into a few news pieces. One big one that I do want to dive into, dedicate some time to talk about, probably do a kind of video from this stream for that one on the channel. So I do want to talk about that, and then a couple other smaller news pieces to go into as well. So anyways, with all that being said, the stream looks like it's still good. So yeah, let's get into things. Let's get into our top 5 TV shows. Or actually, you know what? I'm going to start with my episodes. We'll start with the episodes, and then we'll do my TV shows after that. Okay. So let's do our top 10 episodes of the year. And also with these Let's Talk Television episodes, like I said off the top, I haven't done one in a few months, so I'm a little out of practice, but I was doing a segment at the beginning just talking about some shows that I've been watching, and obviously I haven't really been watching that many because I'm still been trying to catch up for 2025, so I'm not going to have anything like that in this episode. All right. So my top 10 episodes of TV for the year of 2025. Let's get into some honorable mentions first. So I think I have, 4 honorable mentions here. So I'm kind of cheating. It's kind of like a top 14. But I do have an 11, and then the rest are kind of just out of order here. So, I guess I'll mention which one is 11 when I get to it. We'll save that one for last. But anyways, let's get into some honorable mentions here. So first, I want to mention Devil in Disguise, John Wayne Gacy, episode 1 of the miniseries there on Peacock, and it's titled 10 Days. So I thought this first episode was really great, and actually, I did a review for the series, so I guess I'm not going to go too in-depth here, but it was interesting because I got to the end of this episode, and I'm like, there's 7 more episodes of the series. Like, what are they going to do? Like, what story are they going to tell here? Because this episode is just so jam-packed with so much stuff, and it really does complete an arc, and also, obviously, it's telling the true story of, John Wayne Gacy, the serial killer. And so it's kind of, giving us all the facts of the story and really bringing a really good conclusion at the end of it as well. So yeah, I was just very satisfied with this episode. There's a lot of tension towards the end of it. Just overall, I think it just really works well, and obviously for all of the elements I discussed in my review, I think this series is one of the best or the best that I've seen, tackling a true crime story like this, or especially serial killers. It is way better than Monster on Netflix, specifically the Jeffrey Dahmer season. It is, I would say, even better than Mindhunter. Obviously Mindhunter is a different type of show. They're not going for the same exact thing here, but just the way that they handle the serial killers, the true crime elements of it, not, showing this gratuitous violence, not making these, characters or these real people, anti-heroes in the way that Monster does. And I think Mindhunter does a little bit as well in some parts. So anyways, really, really satisfied with the miniseries as a whole, obviously, but this first episode was really great. Really, really just a good episode. Was the writing, really, clever and all this stuff? Was it the best writing I've seen? No, I think there were definitely some cliches and stuff, but just the approach that they're taking to it really made it stand out. So I want to mention that one. Next is Yellow Jackets, Season 3, Episode 7, Croak, it's titled. And I have to say, I talked about this when I talked about Season 3. I've done a review on the channel. I've done a couple other videos for Yellow Jackets as well, leading into Season 4. So I've talked about before, but I've said in those videos, like, there's at least one or, sometimes 2 or 3 episodes of each season of Yellow Jackets, even the past 2, which have not, lived up, really at all to the first season of the show. But there's still, 1, 2, or 3, episodes in there where it's like firing on all cylinders. The dark comedy is hitting. The horror elements are hitting. Also just like the shock and awe factor of the show, which they constantly, tease. And then when you finally get it in an episode like this, or I guess kind of the end of episode 6 and then leading into this episode, it's just such a payoff, right? It's such a memorable moment when you actually see it happen after being teased and set up for so long with the show. And that's just kind of what they do. Like, that's just how the show works so well. So this episode as well is kind of like a bottle episode, I guess you could say, or at least the majority of it. It's about the frog catchers who then, run into the Yellow Jackets in the teenager timeline, the teenagers who are surviving in the forest at this point. So just really, really great. And a lot of the episode doesn't even have any of our characters that we know. These are all like 3 new characters to the show. And the way that they write it is just really great. There's some great kind of comedic, sneaky comedic bits in there that are really well done. So yeah, I just thought this was such a standout episode because especially the way that episode 6 ends, you're like, what in the hell just happened, right? And then you watch this episode, and it's just such a good payoff. It's so satisfying for what they set up in the previous episode. So yeah, this one really stood out to me. I really, really enjoyed it as kind of a different, feel to Yellow Jackets a little bit, especially with the teenager timeline at least, because we haven't had technically a new character or new people in the teenager timeline ever, and we probably never thought we would because of the circumstances of them being stuck in the forest. You only have a certain amount of people who were on the plane that crashed at the beginning of the show, right? And so you're kind of limited, and that's the other thing, I guess, too, is I just really respected the way that they were able to bring in a new character like this, and it made complete sense. Like, it wasn't a stretch of reality or that kind of, suspension of disbelief, factor coming in. Like, it was very believable, and it was just very well done. So, got to give kudos to them there. So, yeah, that'll be the only mention for Yellow Jackets this year, unfortunately. Previous years, I've had episodes, in the top 10, but, still a really great episode there. All right, so lastly then, before I get to my number 11, is The Righteous Gemstones, Season 4, Episode 8, On Your Belly You Shall Go. So I do have another episode of Gemstones in my top 10, which I'll get to. But yeah, this was just a really good episode. I have said on the channel that I think Season 4 was, the worst of the series. Partly because the bar was just so high, right, for other seasons of the show. But, this one did kind of suffer in the plot, pacing, elements of it. But still some really great comedic, points to this, some still really great action, those kind of set pieces that Danny McBride does so well. And this one was kind of a little bit like that. Just an amazing payoff for, really what we were teased about with this specific character, at least. The only problem is where in Season 3, we had a lot of time with that character, played by Steve Zahn last season. It's a very similar, foil, basically, for this season as we did last season. But the problem is we spent a whole season with Steve Zahn's character in Season 3, whereas in this season, it's Michael Rooker who plays this type of character in this season. And I think he's only in maybe 3 episodes, right? Or like max, I think 2 before this one. And so the payoff isn't as satisfying, but still it is. It is really well done in this episode. John Goodman and Walton Goggins, some amazing action from both of them. Obviously, they have stunt doubles and stuff, but just like a really great sequence, and some really great comedy comes about in this one. And of course, Michael Rooker's character kind of, faces, his demise. No spoiler alert, but faces his demise in this episode, and the way it's executed is just really amazing. So just a really great episode conclusion to that arc. And then episode 9 has a really good sequence as well in it, which I don't know, I would have liked to talk about that episode here as well, but I thought this one really stood out especially. So Gemstones overall, I wouldn't say a disappointing season, because to me, as we'll get to, it was still like a top 5 TV show of the year for me this season. But compared to the other seasons, just not as good. All right, so my number 11 then, before we get in the top 10, is It Welcome to Derry, the pilot episode. So Season 1, Episode 1, it's literally called The Pilot, which is weird because usually the episodes are just called Pilot. I'm not sure why they put the in front of it, but it is what it is. All right, just going to check on the stream here, make sure we're all good for this, and it's looking good. All right, awesome. So It Welcome to Derry at number 11 here, the pilot episode. This one was just insane. I mean, I think that's what I titled the review, like, this is insane. Like, it truly was. And I'm specifically talking about the ending, but also other sequences in this first episode, namely the one with, I forget the young boy's name now, but, when he gets in the car with the family, he kind of hitchhikes and he gets picked up by them. Like, what an insane sequence that is to begin the episode. And then the ending sequence is unbelievable. I mean, it's just, like, insane that they decided to go that direction with it. I'm not going to spoil anything, but, I'll just say the deaths of certain characters that you thought, would, more or less be there for the whole show. Like, these were, integral characters to our story. Just shocking stuff, but, really great because it reminds you of that horror aspect of the show. Something that I think the movies could have gone a little farther in, especially part 2, It Chapter 2. So, I really like that they were, able to take that risk, willing to take the risk. And I thought some of the acting from the children was really good. I thought it was actually really effective. I thought the writing was pretty good overall. So, I was just really impressed with this one. Unfortunately, I still have not finished the season, which I am going to do very shortly here, hopefully. But this pilot episode definitely stood out to me. One of the most memorable, for sure, of the year for me. Yeah, for sure. All right. Okay, so let's get in then to our top 10. Those are all our honorable mentions. Number 10 is going to be Hacks, Season 4, Episode 6, titled Mrs. Table. So this season of Hacks was really difficult to choose just one episode or, even just like, okay, if I have to choose one episode, which one do I choose? Because there's about 3 or 4 episodes of this season where I thought, okay, I really liked that one. Now, do I need to have multiple of episodes in here in this countdown, in this ranking, or do I just want to pick one of them? But if I want to pick one of them, all these 3 or 4 episodes are about on the same level to me. So, anyways, this was a really hard decision, but I'm gonna go with this one, Mrs. Table, just because I thought this one had the most kind of dramatic, emotional kind of beats to it, I would say, especially with Ava, played by Hannah Einbinder, and her, Ava and Deborah, they're kind of, whole thing that was going up, the first 5 episodes in the season, them constantly butting heads and that drama, and then finally it was kind of the release of all that in this episode where Ava just, loses it basically, and has like a mental breakdown, over this Mrs. Table thing, the title is referencing, and, I just really liked it. I liked the end scene with Deborah and her, kind of consoling, or Deborah really consoling her, and kind of getting her back to late night and keeping, getting her to stay on as the head writer, keeping her job. And the only thing though to me is I did really like this episode, and there's a couple others that I really like too, but I don't know, this season felt like, and to me it was one of the best seasons of the show so far. I really did enjoy it, but even in this episode, it does feel like we were retreading a little bit, of previous seasons. And that's the only thing that kind of took this episode back for me, because honestly, like, there's some really great laughs in this episode. I think it's really great, really well written. It's just, if we had seen this 2 seasons ago, this would be maybe a top 5 episode or a top 3 episode for me, because it was really well done. It's just that we've seen this before now, right? And that's where I think the show is in this territory of kind of getting a little repetitive at this point and kind of playing up the same beats between Deborah and Ava and these, these kind of character dynamics. So, unfortunately, that kind of did, damage the episode a little bit to me, just because, okay, yeah, we've seen this kind of before, right? Though, again, it was satisfying because of the build-up that they had in the first 5 episodes of the season, and it was a good payoff for that. But, yeah, episodes 7 and 8, after this too, I thought 6, 7, 8 was just an amazing run. Even episode 9 was pretty good as well until the ending. I wasn't a huge fan of the ending. But, yeah, just a really great run there, 6, 7, 8 for Hacks. I think all those episodes could have been on here. But great season overall. To me, probably my second favorite season of the show overall. All right, so number 9, and this one's probably a little low in hindsight, but I'm going to put it here. Severance, Season 2, Episode 10, titled Cold Harbor. A lot of people will have this very high up on their list. I did really enjoy this episode. The only thing that kind of takes it back from being a top 5 episode to me is I was just a little disappointed at some of the answers. It just felt a little underwhelming, especially in this episode. Parts of the whole season, but especially in this episode, when we start getting the answers to these big questions that have been looming over, no pun intended, looming over the show so far. It was just, I don't know, I just felt a little lacking. I would have liked to see a little bit more, why this just feels so small scale to me when the whole time it felt like we were on, a massive scale and there was so much going on and the mystery of all this stuff. And in this finale episode, some of those answers really just kind of threw that out the window. And, it's like, oh no, maybe this isn't as big as we thought it was. So anyways, that's kind of going in, without spoilers or anything. So, that's what it is. I want to stay a little general with that. But other than that, I mean, this episode was epic. I mean, really, right? Like the length of it was epic. I loved the whole marching band scene. That was like one of my favorite scenes or sequences of the year. Just amazing stuff. And the actor who plays Milchek, I'm forgetting his name now. That's crazy. That's crazy that I'm forgetting his name. But I'll probably remember it. But he is really great in this finale episode. He's amazing, honestly. Tremel Tillman, right? That's his name. He's amazing. The whole season, he was really great. Really a standout. So that was a great scene. There's just many great scenes. Also, the ending sequence is just amazing. The cinematography there, the score, the song playing, the direction by Ben Stiller. I think he was the one who directed that. So just some really epic, it really felt like, a true, experience watching this finale episode. And I can't say that for many shows, on the air nowadays. So really special finale for Severance there. And again, it was a step down from season 1 for sure. Was it still a really great season of television? Well, you'll find out in just a little bit when I talk about my top 5 TV shows, because, it's going to be mentioned on that list. It was a really great season. All right, so number 8 then is going to be Task, season 1, episode 5, titled Vagrants. So Task was a little bit hard here to, put certain episodes in this list because honestly, all of them except for one episode to me were like really great episodes. I mean, Brad Inglesby is just amazing at this. And I watched an interview with him just a few days ago, kind of talking about this, how, each episode, he, cares so much that viewers actually get something out of each episode of the shows that he writes, right? Or, the scenes of movies that he writes. And that just really resonated with me, watching Task now, watching Mayor of Easttown. I think those are the only 2 I've seen. The Lost Bus, I guess, the film he wrote, that's a little less so to me. But in these 2 miniseries, you can tell, like, every episode of this series, especially Task, but Mayor of Easttown too, it's true. Like, every episode feels so important to the story. And he talked about in this interview how, these kind of filler episodes, right, or these bottle episodes that a lot of shows do now. And, it used to be kind of a more, common thing in network shows, right, that had 22 episodes, or something like The Walking Dead that had 16 episodes. Each season you'd get probably about like 5 or 6 episodes that you could have probably done without and still been fine, right, in the season. But now you're getting seasons that are only, 8 episodes or 10 episodes, and yet you're still getting these filler or bottle episodes that don't actually, even Severance, like we're literally just talked about Severance. You had multiple of those this season, and you only had 10 episodes. So anyways, that really resonated with me, what he was saying, and I see it here with Task. So episode 5, a great example of that. Again, it's not a premiere, it's not a finale, it's not even really like the middle of the series, but it's still a really important episode, and just so much stuff happens in this episode. Mainly, again, kind of light spoilers here, but mainly it is Tom Pelphrey's character, Robbie, who, basically takes hostage Mark Ruffalo's character. I'm forgetting his name now. I'm forgetting his name now. But anyways, he kind of, takes him hostage for the majority of this episode. There are some other things that happen too that are really great, but that specifically, just a lot of those scenes, the dialogue between them, the tension that, Inglesby sets up, with that whole scenario. And you really don't know if Robbie is actually going to kill him or let him go, or what his plan even is at this point in the show. And then obviously the next episode we find out, but it's not, it's such a really great, tense sequence throughout the episode where, he has him hostage. He has him driving him to the place he wants to go, right? It's not like he's in the backseat tied up or something. Like, no, he's the one driving the car, and Robbie's got a gun to the back of his head. So again, like that in itself is just kind of unique and interesting. So really great episode. And then the cliffhanger at the end of this episode is unbelievable. I don't think I've ever clicked play faster, to the next episode than I did here, because I did catch up on the show, so I was able to binge it. The cliffhanger was absolutely insane at the end of this episode. So really great stuff there. All right, number 7 then is Pluribus, season 1, episode 9, La Chica o El Mundo. So the girl, or I think it's the girl or save the world. But I guess the title here is the girl or the world, right? But the line in the episode is, do you want to save the girl or do you want to save the world? So anyways, just a really great title. And yeah, a great finale to Pluribus Season 1. I talked about, the season on my tier list video. I talked about the premiere episode, which I'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, this finale was really great. Now, again, when I talk about the season, to me, I really see this season of Pluribus as kind of a prologue to what the actual show is going to be about, in future seasons. Because it's truly, right, like not a lot of stuff happened here, right? I think they take Carol on a very interesting arc throughout the show, and I think episode 8, the one just before this, is really important and really well written in order to kind of get us to question where Carol actually lies now, even though she was so stubborn and so stuck in her ways for the first half of this season. To be able to turn that on us, to genuinely believe that she might actually go the other way and betray us as viewers who believed in her, for the first little bit, that's just really effective. And then this finale really puts that to the test. Now, as I've seen others point out, and I have to agree with it, yeah, obviously the result of this finale, the ending of it, and I'm not spoiling too much, is her kind of resorting back to where she began the season. So in that way, yes, it's maybe a little disappointing that the arc didn't, fully, reach its end goal. But again, I think if you view this season in a way of saying, okay, this is sort of like a prologue to the actual show that's going to start, really getting going in season 2, then I think that's okay. I think the journey that it took us on was satisfying enough with her character and really effective in the way that they showed us how convincing this is, or how tempting it is to give in to these people that are, selling the happiness as the cure and all this stuff. How easy it is to buy into that. And even Carol, again, the most stubborn, stuck in her way person, like maybe that we've ever seen on a TV show, even she is susceptible to it. So anyways, I thought it was really well done. And then this finale episode also with finally the meeting of Carol and Manusos, who is the character that we've kind of been teased at, throughout the entire season. And then to finally see them meet up, it almost felt like surreal seeing these two characters actually share the screen together in multiple scenes. And just the dynamic already is really great. So, really great episode to end off the season here. Really satisfying. But yeah, I think a good ending to a prologue, which we'll have to see how season 2, delivers when it comes. And I am going to talk about that a little bit later on here in the live show. A little tease for season 2. All right, so next then is number 6, right? We just did number 7. Yeah, so number 6 is The Studio, Season 1, Episode 8, The Golden Globe. So, I mean, I don't want to talk about this one too long, but yeah, this is an amazing episode. Thank you, Sal Saperstein, is kind of like the tagline of this episode. Just a really great running gag throughout the run of it. Amazing. I mean, just so funny. The satire here is pretty effective as well, satirizing the whole award show culture of Hollywood and how so many people are, they kind of say that they don't care and, they act like it's not a big deal. And then in reality, like, this is actually a huge deal to a lot of celebrities and a lot of, actors, directors, anyone working in Hollywood. And so they just do a really great job of doing that with our character, obviously, of Matt Remick, played by Seth Rogen, kind of inserted into it, where, we have Zoe Saldana playing herself, we have Adam Scott playing himself, right? We have all these, actual actors and celebrities playing, different, a little slightly, exaggerated versions of themselves. But it's just really great. And the Sal Saperstein gag is just really funny. So, Ike Barinholtz is also amazing in this episode. So, really great episode there for The Studio. All right, so number 5 then is The Lowdown, Season 1, Episode 1, pilot. Yeah, I thought this was just a really great episode. Really did a great job of establishing the world and the style for the show. There was no surprise, right? If you saw Reservation Dogs, Sterling Harjo's previous show, it's in the same vein as that, and he just does such a good job at being able to kind of build out this world really quickly too. Like just within this pilot episode, he does such a good job, of giving you these kind of background characters that you already care about after just one episode, and just establishing like the settings of everything. Our main character Lee Raybon as Ethan Hawke, playing that character. He's great. And then the actual plot of the episode is also really great. You have that comedic side to things that Sterling Harjo's really great at, which we saw on full display in Reservation Dogs. But then you also have the dramatic, side of things. You have some action in here as well. Like just a really great, pilot episode to get things going here. I do think, the middle of this season kind of got a little messy at times. But the beginning of the show, and then also the ending, I thought the finale was really great. But the beginning of the show is just so strong. And it really all started with this pilot episode. So really great stuff there for the lowdown. All right. Just going to check on the stream here, make sure everything's good. And got the quality here is all good. We're still going good. All right, awesome. Okay, so let's get back to the list here. And we'll see. All right, here we go. Okay, so number 4, right? So we just did number 5, the lowdown. Yeah, so number 4 then is going to be Task, Season 1, Episode 6. This is a long one. Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a river. So one of the craziest titles of the year, I will say, for Task. But yeah, I mean, this is just an insane episode of TV. In some ways, I view it as kind of the finale, really, of the story, at least, for this season, for Task, the miniseries here. Because episode 7 is almost an epilogue, really, of the main story here, or at least of our main character of Robbie, Tom Pelphrey's character throughout the show. Again, not going to spoil too much, but, maybe I've said too much already. Anyways, it's just a really great conclusion to basically the whole story that they've set up to this point. Brad Inglesby does such a good job of paying off, all these little details that he set up, and like I said, Tom Pelphrey's character, just, such an emotional, but still satisfying, conclusion for that character. Brad Inglesby, I've talked about it when I talked about it in my tier list, but he's just so good at setting up these scenarios and these situations. Another thing about the show is that, there's not really I can think of maybe just one character, one main character in the show that is like all bad or all good, and that type of thing. Like he writes his characters with so much depth that, most writers would be like, well, who cares? Like, who cares about that? That character can just be good. It doesn't matter. But he cares about it. And I mean, even like, Robbie is kind of a antagonist, I guess. And you could say Mark Ruffalo's character is, our protagonist. But even them, like, they both have, Robbie has redeeming qualities about him, and he's, in some ways a good guy with a lot of the stuff he does. And Mark Ruffalo's character has a lot of weaknesses and does a lot of, bad things, that, typical kind of like bad guys would do. He has struggles with a lot of things. And so with this episode, then you get to the kind of conclusion of the story, and you're at a point where, at least I'm speaking for myself, but I'm assuming many people, with the way that he's written these characters, it's like, okay, what would be a satisfying ending? Because I actually kind of like Robbie. I like this guy. I know he's done bad things. And even the, villains of the story who are, out to get Robbie, trying to kill him in this episode, like, even they have, reasons for it. They're justified in a way. And I even, see, the good in them a little bit. Not as much as Robbie or as Mark Ruffalo's character, but, I could see the good in them. Tom Brandis is Mark Ruffalo's character's name. Finally, I remembered. But, You know what I'm saying? So it's just, there's so much conflict going on in your mind when you're watching this, because you're like, is this what I want? Like, I kind of want this character to survive, but then again, he did all this stuff, and these people are kind of justified in killing him. But I also kind of want him to live because he's justified. So it's just a really great way of writing this whole episode and the characters, and it just creates for an amazing experience as a viewer watching this stuff, and also quite a bit of catharsis as well in this episode with the way things play out. So yeah. Amazing episode of Task, really sealed the deal to me. Again, the finale was good, but it's kind of an epilogue of sorts for the story. So to this one, I thought it was a really great conclusion. All right. So number 3 is, this was such a standout for me. The Righteous Gemstones, Season 4, Episode 1, titled Prelude. This was unbelievable. I did a review, I think, for the episode, like, just right after I had seen it. It's like about a 5-minute video or something like that, just my quick thoughts. But this one has really stuck with me, like, the entire year. I think we're, like, literally a year out now from when I would have, viewed this the first time. It is unbelievable, what Danny McBride did, what a swing that he took with this episode, casting Bradley Cooper in it, setting it, like multiple generations in the past. It's the Civil War era, for the U.S., and it's just unbelievable what he was able to do. The directing here is really great. Bradley Cooper is amazing. His comedic timing is really great. I feel like he just really really connected well to Danny McBride's humor, and the dialogue there. He was just so good at delivering that, and really, it really hit. So just a really, really great episode. Again, a huge swing to take where, we don't have any characters from our regular cast in this episode, and yet it's still one of the most entertaining, funny, but also really dramatic, kind of emotional episodes, that I saw this year. So, and even just from Gemstones as a show. So yeah, this one was easily going to be in my top 5, and I'll put it at 3 for now. But yeah, really, really great episode. All right, so number 2 then, our runner-up is The Studio, Season 1, Episode 2, titled The Oner. This to me was just the epitome of how great The Studio was. This episode, the perfect combination of that satire, poking fun at Hollywood and some of the, dynamics at play, especially on a set, on a production. Just the comedy itself, like, beyond the satire, is just really funny and just really well written, especially the ending of the episode where they basically set up the really big ending gag at the very beginning of the episode, in the first minute of it, and then it always or then it also throughout the episode it's kind of looming in the background, and maybe you forgot, and then at the end they really hit it home, and to me it just really hit. I was just dying laughing by the time this episode ended. So the comedy's great, the satire's great. And then also, it's just a really great, look at the production of this movie. Of course, who's Sarah Polley, right, is playing herself as a director, and then who is it? The actress from Past Lives, Celine Song, right? I think that's her name, or is that the director of it? I think it's Celine Song, right? Is the actress's name? But anyways, she's playing herself as well, and so it's just this meta look at this production combined with the really hilarious comedy, and then also the satire at the same time. Just what a perfect combination of everything, and just made for an amazing episode. And also the fact that the whole, episode in itself, the whole meta aspect here, is that it's literally shot in one take, the studio episode, but then it's also depicting them trying to do a one take, scene of this fictional movie that they're shooting. So it's so meta, and I don't know, to me it really worked. So really great episode there. All right, so number 1 then, my best episode of TV for 2025, no doubt about it, it was Pluribus, Season 1, Episode 1, We Is Us. This was an unbelievable episode of TV. You know, I had high expectations going into this show. Vince Gilligan, his new show since Breaking Bad, all the hype that went into this for months, leading up to the release date. I mean, literally years, from when we found out about this and he started talking about it. And to see this episode, I think I still somehow it exceeded my expectations. Somehow, right? Like miraculously it did, because this was such an amazing episode. I mean, very little dialogue, in this episode, or at least the second half of the episode. And it's such a masterclass of show, don't tell. So many great long shots, so much going on in the background of all of these shots, of all of these scenes. And again, you don't really need that much dialogue to experience what Vince Gilligan is trying to get across here. And that is just so impressive. He directed and wrote this episode. And I mean, honestly, his directing is like on another level here. I mean, he did some great work with Breaking Bad, even Better Call Saul. He had some amazing directing episodes as well. But this was just on another level. I mean, it's just so great from beginning to end, this episode. And honestly, it really could serve, like you could really just watch this episode and get a really good picture of what the show is, what it's going to be, just a really good self-contained episode of TV, where it really feels like it was kind of written as a pilot, even though, the show was greenlit as 2 seasons right off the bat, so probably not, but it does feel like that, it really does. It's really good self-contained. Really, the tension is so high throughout the entire episode. Rhea Seehorn does amazing acting throughout. The background actors, the extras, like all of the work that went into this is just flawless. So, can't say enough about, this first episode for Pluribus. Vince Gilligan absolutely knocked it out of the park. I don't think the season as a whole was, a 10 out of 10 perfect, season. But this episode to me it was really, really great. So anyways, that will just about do it for my top 10 episodes of the year. A really great list this year, honestly. Some really great episodes. It was hard. I had like over 30 that I was, had a, kind of a long list of, and I was trying to get them down to 14. It was really tough. So there definitely are some episodes here that I, missed, mentioning that I really wanted to, but that is kind of the name of the game here. So anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts, of course, on any and all episodes that stood out for you this year. If you agree with any of mine, disagree with any of mine, love to hear your thoughts either way on that. So yeah, those are my top episodes of the year. All right. So that'll just about do it for that, and then now we'll get into my top 5 shows of the year, which shouldn't take too long, and then we will get into some of the news topics, like I said. All right. All right. So 43 minutes, a little longer than I expected, but we'll keep going here. All right. So let's get into this now. And let's see here. Let's see if I can go into the quality here. Okay, there we go. It's looking good. I keep getting the yellow warning here, but I think the stream is still good here. All right, perfect. All right, so let's get into this then. My top 5 TV shows of the year for 2025. I do have some honorable mentions here, so I'm going to list about 9 shows here, but then I will, get into my top 5. I do kind of have a number 6 as well, so I'll mention that, but the rest of the honorable mentions are out of order. All right, so first, I want to talk about this show. It doesn't, I don't know, I feel kind of weird including it in this list with a bunch of other scripted shows, which I always am kind of, I always prefer, scripted shows compared to, shows like this that are kind of documentary style. But I do want to include it because it is one of my best shows of the year. I had a really, really great time watching it, and I did really enjoy it. And it is Mr. Scorsese. So the Apple TV Plus docuseries here. It's a 5-part series. And I'm now forgetting the name of the director here, which I think is Rebecca Miller. I think that's her name, who did an amazing job here, right? I am still a little confused, to be honest, though. I thought this one really was made as kind of like a companion to Killers of the Flower Moon, because it's on Apple TV Plus. I think it was supposed to come out around the same time, because even when you get to the end of this docuseries, it pretty much ends at a point where they're actively shooting Killers of the Flower Moon. They have, literal, footage of, Scorsese on the set of Killers of the Flower Moon directing. So a little confusing. I'm not sure. Maybe obviously they had to get a lot of interviews, and so maybe it took a lot of time to edit the footage and get this docuseries out. But either way, really, really enjoyed this series. I mean, like I said in my tier list video when I talked about it, like, it's just so inspirational. Right? For me who, am interested in filmmaking and maybe eventually doing some of that myself, but also not even like in that world of things. Like for other people who aren't even really that interested in it, it is truly inspirational. And like I said in the tier list video, it's not in a way of like, oh, I mean, Martin Scorsese had, life hard and he was able to make it, so you can too. It's like, you get elements of that, but it really is inspirational because it goes deeper than that. Like, it shows that he had a lot of success and then he fell off. And then he had a little bit more success, and then he fell off again. And it's just kind of this constant, trial and error, right, of all these movies that he made and the success that he had, and trying to kind of, recover from his failures and all the controversy that he has, been involved with over his career, all of this stuff, right? And they truly, to me, I feel like they honestly depict a lot of this stuff. Now, obviously, Scorsese is very heavily involved. He's interviewed like throughout the entire series. I think he's like a producer on it too, and all this stuff. So obviously he's heavily involved with it, but honestly, I felt like it was a pretty honest depiction. I mean, he's pretty upfront about some of his weaknesses, some of his, shortcomings, right, throughout his career and even to this day, So I think it's a pretty honest look at, success and, what it means to be successful, especially in terms of Hollywood and being a director, and all this stuff. So, just a really great look. And then obviously, if you like Martin Scorsese movies, you get a lot out of this, right? Especially if you've seen pretty much like his whole filmography, you're going to love this show because they really dive into, I want to say at least like 10 to 15 minutes on each of his big films. I mean, even films that aren't that big, they spend quite a bit of time on. So, almost all of his filmography is covered in the docuseries. Just a really great look at his career, at him as a person, especially the finale. They go into more of like his family, his wife now, who is ill, and kind of showing that side of him as well. So, just really vulnerable, I think, for Scorsese to be able to do this, to show some of the things that they do show in the finale, especially with his personal life. So, just a really great docuseries. I really love watching this year. All right, so next then is Devil in Disguise, John Wayne Gacy. I'm not going to talk too long about this because I do have a review on the channel. I just think this is such a great, way of depicting true crime. Way better than a show like Monster on Netflix. Way, quite a bit better, I would say, than some elements of Mindhunter even on Netflix. A lot of other, true crime serial killer type, based on a true story type shows. It's just such a really respectful way of looking at this, in the way that they depict John Wayne Gacy, in the way that they spend, time on his victims and removing them from Gacy, right? And showing us their lives and what they were before what happened to them, and not just, oh, they're just victims of Gacy, and so I just really, really enjoyed that. Made for what I think was a great series. Now, again, is the writing, the best ever? No, there's definitely some cliches there. Some of the acting, from some of the side characters, a little, left me a little wanting at times. But other than that, I mean, it's just a really respectful look, at the story and the victims. And it's really unique, honestly, because not a lot of shows do that kind of thing. So I really thought it was great. Peacock show here, Devil in Disguise, John Wayne Gacy. Of course, not to be confused with the docuseries. That's literally the title, just in reverse. John Wayne Gacy, Devil in Disguise. This is the fictional, based on a true story show. And also, I don't want to go without mentioning Michael Chernus playing John Wayne Gacy. unbelievable. And I'm going to talk about the show that he's in just up next, but he's really great in this show. All right. So, spoiler alert, yeah, the next one is Severance, Season 2. So, this to me was a step down from Season 1. I just think the pacing here at times, a few of those episodes in this season were just disappointing. I mean, there can be filler episodes, there can be, bottle episodes and things like this, but some of those episodes, like particularly Woe's Hollow, and then episode 8, the Miss Cobell's episode, that one in particular, was just... To dedicate a whole episode of TV to that was just, I don't know, like, even to me, like, I think it was a little even disrespectful, to us viewers of the show, that they couldn't have just done that in, like a cold open, really, or like a first 5 to 10 minutes of an episode, to dedicate an entire episode to that. And, of course, they're releasing weekly, right? So to dedicate a whole week to that episode where then we had to wait another week for another episode of the season. So that to me was really disappointing. And, just other aspects of it. When we started getting some of the answers to these big questions that we've had since season 1 of the show, it just felt a little underwhelming to me. Like, it just left me wanting more. And what seemed like such a big scale, mystery plot that's going on. And then we started to get some of the answers, especially like in the finale episode, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe this isn't as big as what we thought it was. So yeah, just a little underwhelming in parts of that. Now, the production design, the score, the even some of the performances, the costumes, like everything is just so unique and so tailored to the tone and the style that Dan Erickson really established in the first season, and they do maybe even a better job in this season of that. And it's unique, right? There's not a lot of shows on TV that are this, that have that attention to detail, and it really, really shows. It's really impressive. Also, I think the performances this season were quite a bit better, in almost every aspect. Than the first season. I thought, I'm forgetting her name now, Britt Lauer, right? Britt Lauer was definitely better than season 1. I thought she was really great. Tremel Tillman was really great this season. Even Adam Scott, I think took a step up. So just really great. John Turturro, Christopher Walken, like amazing performances across the board in this season of Severance for sure. All right. All right. So I guess those are all my thoughts on Severance there for season 2. Really great season. Really great season of television, but just a bit of a step down from season 1 there. All right, so last one I'll mention, this would be my number 6. If I had to pick, it is going to be Hacks, season 4. So I thought this was probably my second favorite, or maybe even favorite season of Hacks. I thought this season just really hit on all cylinders, especially in the comedic side of things. The dramatic side of things was also really good, but as I talked about with my, when I talked about some of my favorite episodes of the season, it did feel like it was a little repetitive at this point, of the show, where I felt like they could have been a little more inventive with some of the dramatic, arcs that they took these characters on this season. Now, like I said before, though, if this was season 2 of the show and they did the exact same arcs and the exact same, story, basically, that played out this season, I would have thought they were like significantly better, right? So it was just the fact that it's been going on for 4 seasons now, and it just felt a little repetitive, but still was really well done and really well executed. And then the comedy was just really firing on all cylinders this season. I was constantly laughing out loud, through these episodes, and I can't say that, for previous seasons of the show, especially season 3. I thought, at times was, kind of lacking in the laughs department for a comedy. So yeah, I was a little disappointed with last season, but this one definitely, I don't want to say return to form, because I think there's been stronger times of the show, but it's definitely closer, at least, to that form that they, really did well. To me, season 2 is probably still my favorite season, but season 1 even had some really great moments too. So, really great season of Hacks overall. And yeah, obviously looking forward to season 5 of the show. I do think that season 5 maybe should be the last. I do really enjoy the show. I like watching it every year. One of my favorite comedies, each year that it's on. However, I do think, like I said, the dramatic side of things, it's getting a little repetitive with these arcs. So either they need to kind of do a big switch up here, or maybe, it's best to call it at season 5. But either way, I will be there for the premiere of season 5. I am really looking forward to it for sure. All right, so let's get into our top 5 then. At number 5 is going to be The Righteous Gemstones, Season 4. So I've talked about this on the channel. I do think Season 4 is probably the worst season of the series. But that's a pretty high bar, right? A pretty high bar. The first 3 seasons, the previous ones, has set. So that's not really saying that much, right? Like, season 4 is still really great. Some really great sequences, comedic sequences, kind of those action set pieces that we get a few of in this season. And it starts right off the bat with the first episode prelude, which I've talked about, in the episodes here. Yeah, it's just an amazing episode. What a swing from Danny McBride, which I think fully paid off, the Bradley Cooper episode there. And then the rest of the season. I mean, there's some really great moments, some great episodes. The only thing that brought this one down to me is just kind of in the plot and the pacing department compared to previous seasons where they did a really good job of setting up, these payoff opportunities later in the season, whereas this one, it felt a little more disjointed, a little bit more messy in that, which is very rare to see from a Danny McBride show. So that was just a little bit of the reason why I say it's the worst season of the show, but still an amazing season of television. Probably, my second favorite comedy of the year in TV. So yeah, really sad to see it go, by the way. This is the final season of the show. I do think it ended on a high note, though. I think the last couple episodes were really great. And then the finale episode, obviously, was a great ending. It also did feel more like a season finale, though, than a series finale. So, it was still a really great ending for these characters and the story. But, maybe we could have seen a little bit more in terms of a series finale. Maybe like a time skip ahead to see what they were up to or something like that. But anyways, it is what it is. I think it was a really great season overall and a great ending for these characters. And honestly, it'll be so sad to see this show go. I'm really already disappointed that there won't be another new season of Gemstones this year. So that is really, really sad, really unfortunate. But Danny McBride is already, I'm assuming, probably started working on his next show. He has said that, he will do something else, but it does sound like he wants to take a couple years off maybe as well. So we'll see. Whenever he's ready, I'll be there for the next show or the next idea that he has. All right, so number 4 then is going to be The Lowdown, Season 1 on FX. I thought this show was really great. Sterling Harjo has done it again, with Reds Dogs, his first show on, FX on Hulu or whatever. And then this one, really great again at establishing the world, the style, and the comedic aspects of things. A little bit more, obviously, of the drama, a little bit more action as well in this show compared to Reds Dogs, which is kind of a comedy first. And this show kind of feels like a drama first, right? It's kind of drama comedy. And Reservation Dogs was, or at least most of the time, a comedy drama, right? So yeah, a little bit different here. The episodes are obviously, 45 to an hour, so it's a little longer as well. But yeah, Ethan Hawke as Lee Raybon, our main character, really great job. I mean, this guy is, multiple Oscar nominated. He just got nominated for Oscar for Blue Moon, right, a couple weeks ago. And just the way that he's able to commit to some of these kind of like cornball, just like downright like comedic, kind of actions and, dialogue and all this stuff. Like, his commitment to the character is just so great. And it really shows, his performances is really impressive. And then obviously the dramatic side really hits too, because obviously he's a good dramatic actor. So, I just really, really love him in this. There's some other really great performances across the board here as well from some lesser-known actors. I believe it's Tom Blake Nelson. I believe that's his name, right? And he's really great, in his time in this. Kyle MacLachlan as well, who's in this. And I'm forgetting some of the other actors that are in the show as well. Oh, well, of course, Keith David, right? Keith David is also is also kind of one of our. I mean, he's kind of like billed as a co-lead, but he's not, in the actual show. But he is, in quite a bit of it. So, anyways, yeah, really great cast here, really great show. I will say it does get a little bit kind of stagnant, a little bit messy actually in the middle episodes, in like episode 4 or 5, a little bit of 6 maybe. But the first 3 episodes and the finale episode are just really great. Really, really great stuff. Unfortunately, Sterling Harjo does write or direct all of the episodes I just mentioned that are really great, and he doesn't direct or write those episodes that I said that weren't as good. So I am wondering if that's maybe a little bit of something there to look into. Maybe in season 2 he writes more episodes. I'm not sure. But anyways, it's still really great. A really great show, and one of my favorites of the year for sure. All right, number 3 then is going to be The Studio, Season 1. This was really great to me. I mean, and it really did surprise me. Honestly, when I saw the trailer for the show, when I first heard about it, I'm like, okay, this sounds really cool. And then I watched the trailer for it, and I'm like, oh, okay, like this is just going to be kind of Seth Rogen comedy, which, I do like some of his comedy, but some of it is not for me, really. You know what I mean? And so I kind of was thinking to myself, after watching the trailer, I don't know. Am I going to like this? Like, does it seem kind of a little corny at times? But I will say, I mean, this really exceeded my expectations. The satire, I think, really hits at times. But more than that, it's just really funny. Like, the comedy here is just really effective. Save for one episode, which I think it's called the Pediatric Oncologist. I think that's the name of the episode, which I didn't really find that one that funny at all. That was kind of a disappointing episode. But other than that, like one episode out of 10, I thought all the 9 other ones, like the comedy was genuinely hilarious for the majority of the run of those episodes. Like, just some really great, comedy here from Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, which, like, surprise, surprise, yeah, they're really great comedians who have made a career on this. So, yeah, really great. But also just the, commitment to the style. I think that they shot this on film, or at least it has that grainy aesthetic that film would give you. The score is also really great, even just like the title cards and, everything that goes into the show was just so well, meticulously designed and really well executed, and kind of paying homage to Hollywood at the same time. They're like poking fun and criticizing them. So with the satire. So just a really great show, and a really great concept for the show too, with having Seth Rogen playing this fictional character, and then, Ike Barinholtz, Chase Sweet Wonders, and a couple others. Catherine Hahn, right? We kind of have this like core group of fictional characters, and then basically everyone else is just playing themselves, or kind of heightened versions of themselves, where we get those other actors and celebrities in there, and it's just really funny. It's really funny. And a great dynamic there, to play out in the show. So, yeah, can't say enough good things about The Studio Season 1. All right. Okay, so our top 2 then for TV shows for the year. Oh, wow, that jumped up for me. Okay, there we go. All right, so number 2 then is going to be Task, the miniseries on HBO, written by Brad Inglesby. This was a really, really great miniseries. I don't know, I'm torn. I think I said in my tier list video that I like Mayor of Easttown better than this one, but I don't know. Now I'm starting to think I like this one better than Mayor of Easttown, which is very high praise, because Mayor of Easttown was, I think, like my number 2 or number 3 show of 2021 when it came out. Like, he is just so good at, he's so good at so many things, really, but he's just so good at writing these miniseries that you really are immersed in the world, these characters, the story that's going on, the mystery that he builds, the tension. Like he's just so good at all of this stuff, setting up, especially the way that this series starts, and Mayor of Easttown was similar in basically starting the show and not really telling you anything. We basically just jump into the show, jump into these characters' lives, and you're kind of left trying to put together the pieces of who this character is and how do they know this character and why are they living together and why are they doing this, right? He doesn't spoon feed you all this information, and that's another thing that really makes Task unique and makes Mayor of Easttown unique. I guess makes Brad Inglesby as a writer unique, especially in this day and age, right? Of TV and streaming. It's just so refreshing and so impressive, what he's able to do with the series. So yeah, I mean, it's just an amazing series. Mark Ruffalo, Tom Pelphrey is amazing in this, absolutely amazing. Jamie McShane. Who else? Amelia Jones, the girl from Coda, is amazing, absolutely amazing in this as well. I feel like I'm going to be forgetting some, but just amazing performances across the board. Again, partly because Brad Inglesby gives them such good dialogue and such good, characters to really, dive into. But yeah, just really great performances across the board. The tension, the mystery here, just everything really hitting on all cylinders. The only kind of criticism that I had with the series here as a whole was just a bit of the pacing for this one. I felt like they honestly could have done the series in 6 episodes where they did it in 7, and the 7th finale episode almost feels like kind of like an epilogue to the story. And so that to me was just a little bit of maybe a criticism there. And I think it was like episode 4 to me, which was probably the weakest of the bunch. And I think maybe you could have combined that one with maybe another one or another 2 and kind of shortened it a little bit. But other than that, I mean, this is a near perfect season of television to me. And I caught up on this one. I'm lucky, or I'm glad, that I was able to go back and that I actually did. And I didn't miss this show because it was unbelievable. Really great. And I don't know why I ever would have doubted Brad Inglesby after Mayor of Easttown. And I definitely won't going forward. He's unbelievable. One of the best writers definitely working in TV today. I know he also wrote, I think, the Lost Bus movie as well. So he does some movie stuff too, but really great. And unfortunately, I have to mention this. It has been renewed for a season 2, I think. I think Mark Ruffalo's returning. Yeah, I don't care. It's just so annoying. Again, if Brad Inglesby's going to be on board and he's going to write it, and be heavily involved with it, okay, I'll probably check it out. It's probably still going to be good. But I don't know. I'd just rather see an original idea from him again in a different format. To see a season 2 of this same show, it feels cheap to me. So not a fan of that, but regardless, we'll see. It'll probably still be good. I'll still probably watch it, but I do wish it kind of stayed self-contained. But anyways, really great series. All right, so number 1, no doubt about it. Although I will say, Task did give it kind of a run for its money here, but it is Pluribus, season 1, Vince Gilligan's new Apple TV Plus show. Obviously, this was going to be my number 1. Or at least that's what I thought, going into the year was, this is probably going to be my number 1 show. And it did really deliver. Now, is it a 10 out of 10, perfect season of television? I wouldn't go that far. I would maybe give it, a 9 or a 9.5, right? Because to me, this first season did really effectively feel like a prologue to what the actual show is going to be going forward into a season 2 and even beyond that, right? Because of the way that this first season is really a lot of setup and really great setup, and it's still a really immersive, entertaining ride or journey, right, to get to the finale episode where things really heat up. But it is, at the end of the day, you got to be honest, it is a lot of setup, in this first season. Now, it is such a masterclass of show, don't tell, which we don't see a lot, especially in streaming, TV shows these days. A lot of exposition, a lot of, telling the viewers, telling the audience what's going on and what to think about this character and what this character is doing, what they want. There's just so much depth that comes from the show, don't tell aspect of Vince Gilligan masters here. And it's just so refreshing to see that on TV. And so for that alone, I think this is a top 5 TV show of the year, just in that way. The first episode here was just unbelievable. One of the best episodes of TV that I've seen in the recent years, I would say. Just an amazing first episode to kick things off. And then, like I said, just many episodes. And in a way that it's just such kind of a build-up season, I wouldn't even say that any of those kind of middle episodes really stood out to me. I mean, I think it's like episode 6, HDP, was probably like my third favorite episode of the season. But there's a lot of them that kind of, I don't want to say blend together, because that sounds kind of negative, and I'm not trying to be negative, but I'm just saying in the way that it kind of is this kind of slow build to the finale, right, in a way, and really to season 2, it does just feel like kind of a whole journey as all of these episodes kind of topple on or kind of, combine with each other. And it's just a really entertaining, ride all the way through. And a lot of these episodes, really impressive on their own right. And then when you look and you take a step back after finishing the finale, like a lot of Vince Gilligan shows, like Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, all these little details along the way all kind of come together. They make a lot more sense, and I'm sure they'll make even a lot more sense in season 2 when we really get into, the kind of main thing here of effectively saving the world, right? That they tease in the finale, of the, I think it's the line of, are you going to save the girl or you want to save the world? And obviously, light spoilers, but yeah, we're probably going to be saving the world in season 2. So we'll have to see how that goes, but I am really, really anticipating the next season of Pluribus. Obviously, after this first one, really great year for TV, but Pluribus, to me, is my number 1. So that is going to do it for that one. So thank you guys for listening to that one and watching my top 5 TV shows. Really, really great year for TV. Love to hear your guys' thoughts, of course, on some of your favorite shows of the year, if you agree or disagree with some of mine, all that stuff. So, yeah, really great time here putting together my episodes and TV shows. Really enjoyed that and love to hear from you guys on those. So, anyways, that will just about do it, I guess, for our main topic of this week's show. Sorry, let me pull the chat up here. Daryl 3 better be on this list. Well, I did my tier list video. I think it was about a week and a half ago now, a little bit ago. And Daryl, it was not on the F tier, but it was pretty low. I think I put it in the D tier. So it was like the second last tier. So, I know you're probably joking, but yeah, no, not on my top 5 TV shows list. But yeah, Pluribus definitely on my number 1, for sure. Yeah, really, really great show there for 2025. My favorite of the year. So, and I've seen obviously like a lot of other lists of top 5s and stuff like this. And Pluribus was pretty high on a lot of lists. So really great to see. And like I said, and somehow, some way, I think exceeded my expectations, and even some other people, with really high expectations, sound like it exceeded theirs too. So Vince Gilligan really, really delivered with Pluribus for sure. For Apple TV Plus, I'm sure they're happy too. I did see some stuff saying like it's their biggest show, release and this stuff. I'm not sure that I actually believe that though, because of the show having Rhea Seehorn be the star of it. Obviously, people know Vince Gilligan from Breaking Bad, but even then, like, Breaking Bad's not, like Game of Thrones or Stranger Things. It's not like a really, really popular show. So I don't know. I'm not sure I believe that, but that is what they said. So, good for them, I guess, if that is true. And there's also just been other Apple shows that have been, kind of bigger scale, bigger, not IP, but just like genre-based shows. I don't know. I feel like there's got to be something in there. Okay. So now let's get into the news articles, right? So that's my top 10 episodes of the year, my top 5 TV shows. That was kind of our main topic here. And now I want to get into this one. So this is an interesting topic. So I have 2 articles here. Of course, I linked all the articles in the description of the stream, so you can go ahead and check those out. Follow along if you're interested. So there's 2 articles here. The main one, I guess I'll probably read first and get into, and then the second one I'll kind of just maybe mention in passing to go along with the same topic here. But the main topic here, and both these articles are from Deadline, by the way, like I said in the description. The main thing here is that HBO Max has rediscovered network television, apparently, right? So this week, we had two articles here, or I guess the last week and a half or so, where we've had two articles of basically HBO Max getting these two pilots off the ground. Right, so we got news as well, I want to say a couple months ago now, it was definitely last year now, that HBO Max was really leaning into The Pitt, right? The success of The Pitt, how it's been such a kind of revelation, right, in TV to have, I think it was 15 episodes, right? The Pitt season 1, it just won Best Drama at the Emmys, like so much success at the Emmys, the Emmys, yeah, and then it also did well at, I want to say Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, like some of the recent award bodies as well. And so they've had so much, the word of mouth has been so positive on the show. It has 15 episodes. It's a, yearly release schedule that they're able to, put out new episodes as they have them, as they air. And so it can be this regular, scheduled show with lots of episodes. And I'm here thinking, and a lot of other people I'm sure are thinking, like, yeah, we've had that on network TV for, decades and decades, right? Like, that was kind of the norm for TV shows before the whole streaming era really hit. And then you had these, what we have now is like these 6, 7, 8, or 10, maybe even 9, 10 episode seasons of TV that we get once every 2 years, maybe once every 3 years. I think what was Stranger Things? Was that like more than 3 years between the two seasons? House of the Dragon obviously is a big one now. Like that'll be probably more than 2 years between season 2 and 3 that's going to be coming out this year. And that is an HBO show. So it's just, to me, I do like this news. Like, I think this is good news. I think generally I do kind of miss this style of TV where I do feel so I guess the good thing here is that the quality of this type of show, especially The Pitt is a great example, where I feel like you don't really get that quality on network TV anymore. Yes, you get the 16 or even more episodes, a year and a regular release schedule for these shows, but the quality to me is just not there. It's not on the same level of a lot of other great network shows that we've had over the last couple of decades, and what I would refer to as the golden age of television, right? Something like Lost comes to mind. There's a lot of other ones too. Fringe was on network. Anyways, a few other ones, right? So you don't get the same quality. And with this, yeah, okay, I guess, or at least hopefully, who's to know? But at least with The Pitt, we do get a kind of higher quality of, writing, directing, acting, everything that goes into it, yet we're still going to get a lot more episodes and a yearly release schedule like network TV. So in that way, yes, I think it is good. And like I was going to say, I do miss this. I truly do, because I like watching some of those network shows, with that many episodes, the yearly release schedule. I do miss that. And I feel like a lot of people are kind of longing for that to come back now. But that is still an option on network TV these days. Like, you could still see many shows, dozens of shows that are still on, that are doing a yearly release schedule, that are doing that many episodes. But I think what people are truly longing for, including myself, is that model, but also the quality that has disappeared, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree, that has disappeared from those types of shows on network TV. And yeah, I'm kind of looking at Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Chicago Fire, Fire Country, Law and Order, the dozen different Law and Order spinoffs, Boston Blue, the Blue Blood spinoff, right? So these are the kind of big high profile network shows that are doing this model now. And it's kind of refreshing to see, okay, maybe we can get a little bit of the quality back, that is missing from some of these shows. And again, I'm not knocking though. I'm sure a lot of those are still entertaining. I'm not trying to say that they're bad shows. I'm just saying the quality there is not quite as high as something like The Pitt. That's all I'm saying, right? But anyways, it's good. It's good that this trade-off is hopefully going to be, yes, can we get 15 episodes a year or 16? And can we still get some good quality, though, in a lot of these episodes? So that's the trade-off here, and that is what HBO Max is promising with this news. They have greenlit 2 new pilots. One is a cop drama pilot, and the other one is kind of advertised as a family drama pilot. So that one is called How to Survive Without Me, and the news here is that Joshua Jackson was cast in that one. I'll just quickly go to the article here and just kind of read a little bit of this one. So it is Joshua Jackson and Greg Berlanti, right? So of course they're both from Dawson's Creek, as they mentioned here in the Deadline article, and it says the duo are now re-teaming for How to Survive Without Me, a drama pilot at HBO Max. Jackson is set to star alongside Ray Romano in the project from Berlanti and Warner Bros. TV, which, by the way, is another angle to this where, Warner Brothers is trying to get more, in-house production of their TV shows. Something like Hacks, for example, is on HBO Max, but it's a Universal production. So I think that's also part of this too. That's kind of another side to the story, which they want more in-house productions of TV shows, obviously, that are going to be airing. And I will say, just a bit of a maybe personal anecdote here. I was, last year, a few months ago, I did do the Warner Brothers studio tour. I was there and went to, their production, their sets, and all this stuff. And a big thing that I heard, that they kind of echoed over and over again was that they don't have a lot of active, in-house productions. A lot of even their sound stages were being, rented out or used by other studios. That was like the majority of their sound stages at the time that I was there a few months ago. The Pit was like the biggest thing that they were all so happy about and bragging about, and was using quite a bit of the soundstage space to shoot because it was like the priority for them. And it makes sense because it is an in-house production that they can, obviously reap all the benefits from and use that space that is there on the studio. Like, it just makes a lot of sense. So that is, I think, a little side to this where, it's something that they've really been lacking. I think the whole story of that whole, production happening in Los Angeles and how it's been all going to other states, other countries, and all this stuff, it's been kind of leaving LA. And again, something like this, a show where you could do 15 episodes a year and you could do a regular release schedule, yeah, that's going to create a lot of jobs. That's going to create a lot of work and ultimately more money for Warner Brothers at the end of the day, compared to them, greenlighting another show that's going to shoot in Europe somewhere and deliver a new season once every 2 years. So again, I return to the thing I said off the top is like, yeah, apparently HBO or Warner Brothers is figuring out network TV again, right? It's like, I thought we already knew this. But anyways, so the other one then, so that's the family drama. This one, which really actually kind of caught my eye and got me excited, was the cop drama pilot. So this one's titled American Blue, and it is Milo Ventimiglia. I've never been able to pronounce his name, so hopefully that's right. But if it's not, my apologies. But anyways, so the article here says, from Deadline, HBO Max continues to follow the Pit blueprint for its drama pilots under the same model, getting a well-known TV star as the lead. This Is Us alum Milo Ventimiglia has been tapped to star in American Blue, HBO Max's cop drama pilot from former Supernatural showrunner Jeremy Carver. And again, a similar thing here, it's Warner Brothers Television, which is going to be the studio producing it, right? So again, like I said, more in-house production is their priority at this point. And it says Jeremy Carver is under an overall deal with Warner Brothers, so this is part of that. And it is David Ayer, who is coming on board to direct. I think he's directing, I guess, just the pilot, right? So the other thing about the story is that these are just pilots. I think, right? It's only the pilots that they have obviously greenlit. Now, I think that they're trying, if these pilots go well, I guess, to get these out in the fall. Like, I think both of these are going to be, again, following that same network model. I think both these are going to be released in the fall. Or that's probably their plan. So it's February now, right? They get to work on the pilot. HBO likes it, they can go right into shooting in the summer and get those episodes out in the fall. So I think that's their plan right now. I don't know that these articles specifically say that, and maybe I'm crazy, like maybe that's way too fast for this. Maybe it will be next year. But anyways, that's kind of my thinking here. And so at this point, it's just the pilots that they've greenlit. Obviously, it's not a series order or anything, but they've put the work together. So David Ayer is directing this one. I really like, it does mention that he did Suicide Squad and Fury in the article, but I really like End of Watch, which he directed. And I think, like, I just really love that movie. You know, is it a perfect movie? No. But I do really enjoy it. Obviously, the style that he used to direct that film, the cinematography was using, you know, basically, you know, only like body cams and laptop, you know, cameras and stuff like this for the majority of this film. It's just really unique, really inventive. And I did like Jake Gyllenhaal in that one, Michael Pena. I feel like he has the perfect knack for something like this, for a cop drama show. And I think it's just really exciting that he's coming on to direct this. Again, this is where you get, like I said, the trade-off between quality and number of episodes, where, you know, David Ayer, I mean, you know, say what you will. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen Suicide Squad. I haven't seen Fury. I can't comment on that, but I've heard some negative things about David Ayer and some of his movies. But that is kind of like an upper level of a director to come on board for a network TV show, right? So again, it's just that kind of little bit elevated quality with the show that hopefully is being promised here. Obviously, Milo Ventimiglia, hopefully I'm saying the name right, is a really good actor as well, obviously from network, in the same way that Joshua Jackson is. And so you can see what they're trying to do here, right? They're trying to bring network. They're trying to elevate it a little bit, like they did with The Pit. Obviously, Noah Weil, right, coming from network and doing that show. And so they're trying to capture the same network model and just do it a little differently with HBO Max. So American Blue centers on native son Brian Milkovich, who returns to his hometown of Joliet, Illinois, to rescue a beleaguered police force while seeking redemption of his own. It says, Venimiglia's Milk is a quietly determined, natural-born leader, hoping to find a second chance in the place he left behind. So, you know, does this really, you know, does this sound like the most unique show ever written? Does it sound like it's going to be something new and fresh? Maybe, but probably not, right? Now, the main focus, though, here is that, again, it's the network model. It's 15 episodes a year or more, probably, and it's a yearly release schedule, right? That's the biggest thing. So the quote here, and then we'll finish up. So American Blue will take audiences inside a gritty and authentic police drama, reflecting the myriad of challenges in policing today, says the head of Max Original Programming. As with The Pit, our goal of longer seasons will allow viewers to sink deeply into this world across multiple episodes and return to it on an annual basis. We can't wait for Jeremy Carver's vision for American Blue to come to life, with Milo Ventimiglia in the lead role and David Ayer directing our pilot. So there you go. That is what they say about it. And like I've been saying, it's, you know, trying to basically replicate the success of The Pit and that model again, which has been successful for decades. Somehow we went away from it for the last, I mean, I guess you could basically say a decade now, from like 2016 to now. And now the pendulum has swung back, and now we're just returning to network TV again because people are kind of longing for it. So anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this stuff here. You know, are you looking forward to either of these, the family drama, what is it called? How to Survive Without Me, and then this one titled American Blue. Are you looking forward to them? Do they sound interesting to you? What are your thoughts on this kind of shift back to network TV? Have you been missing that kind of model? Any and all thoughts, welcome, for sure. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one. And yeah, I'll definitely be checking out both, I think, you know, especially if they come out in the fall. Always looking for fall TV shows. So yeah, I'll probably check out both of them, at least the pilot, see how they are. Hopefully it's the kind of elevated quality that we've seen in The Pit, and hopefully these shows really catch on, because I think there's a real chance, you know, that HBO Max, especially, it feels like they're kind of the first ones to, you know, recognize that maybe we should go back to network models again, and maybe this might pay off for them, that they're at least the first movers And then, I'm sure all the other studios will follow suit, and we'll see more of this coming if both of these are as successful as The Pit, for sure. So anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one for sure. All right. So really interesting topic there I wanted to get into with the return to network television, apparently. All right. So let's get into things here, the last couple news articles, and then we'll end off here. So yeah, so I think that was just about it. We talked about both of the new network type pilots that HBO Max is going for here, with those names attached. All right. I think that was all I wanted to say on that one, and yeah, about the kind of gaps in between seasons and all this stuff with. Some of them, it's just been ridiculous, right? The long waits in between seasons, and trying to remember what happened, in the last seasons of shows. House of the Dragon, a big one with that, was season 2. Stranger Things, an even bigger one. So yeah, I think that has been good. That has been really good. That they're kind of trying to get around that. Okay. So this one is from the Hollywood Reporter, this article, and this is some sad news, unfortunately, for Vince Gilligan's series Pluribus on Apple TV Plus and season 2. So there's a bit of an update here from Hollywood Reporter. Apparently, Apple TV had their big press day, which was evident from all the articles about Apple shows that came out all on the same day or same weekend or whatever it was, and so they had this press day where I guess Vince Gilligan was doing a panel or something like that, I think with Rhea Seehorn, and it does sound a little unfortunate for the status of season 2 of Pluribus. Not in the way that we're not going to get it. We are going to get it because it was already renewed for 2 seasons even before they shot, I think, a frame of footage for the show. We are going to get it. It's just when. So here in the article it says, "Attention Pluribus fans, season 2 is in the works, but don't expect the Pit level of swiftness in between seasons." So Vince Gilligan joined his star Rhea Seehorn and members of the ensemble, Caroline Wydra, Carlos Manuel Vesga, for a panel conversation, right? So they were at a panel on, I guess this was this week sometime, right? So naturally, the Emmy Award-winning creator was asked the question everyone is dying to know by a member of the press: where are you currently in the process of writing Pluribus Season 2? And so this is Gilligan's response. "We're plugging away," answered Gilligan. "My writers are plugging away. All the folks, if you like the show, thank you for getting us here on the stage. It takes a long time to come up with these episodes. We are deeper into the process at this moment than I would like, considering how few episodes we have figured out. But it takes some time, just as it did the first season." And then he says... Right, and so he says basically, that Gilligan is kind of molding this idea, they're working on the episodes, but he cautioned that there are months to go before they could get in front of cameras. Quote, "We appreciate everybody's patience, but it ain't gonna be The Pit coming back every year. I wish it would be because it's an awesome show that's old school like we used to do The X-Files when we come back the same month every year. It will not be like The Pit. We'll come back the same month, just the question is what year." Oh, that quote is really sad. It's really sad to hear that quote. And obviously, I think he's being a little tongue-in-cheek. He doesn't mean that it's, literally for sure going to be, I think the article then says, it debuted in November of 2025, so that probably means it's going to be November of 2027. I think he was obviously being a little, tongue-in-cheek there. I don't think he literally meant the earliest we'll be back is 2027, November. However, it does kind of reinforce the whole fact of, it's not going to be, 2026, probably, right? I think at this point it could be possible. We get it early 2027, because they've already, broke some episodes, it sounds like. They're already, well into writing it. But this is just kind of unfortunate, considering especially considering that they were greenlit for 2 seasons right off the bat, So you would think that they would have time and they would have had the foresight to be able to start working on the second season basically as season 1 was airing. I don't know. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me that they would have waited, to work on this next season in that way. I don't know. It just like, especially it's greenlit for 2 seasons right off the bat. It's just a little frustrating, to be honest. To hear this news, I really did think that, we would probably see season 2 this year. I guess I wasn't, I didn't count on it, but I did really think that. And again, I wouldn't have thought that though if it wasn't greenlit for 2 seasons, right off the bat, because it just changes everything. Like, it just changes the fact of, okay, that you're getting the second season. So you could start working on it right away. Right after you finish season 1, you could even start working on it. Whereas other shows where you have to wait for the renewal announcement, well, you're not getting paid to work on those next season scripts, right? Until it's renewed, until you are for sure, know that you're going to be making that season, or at least, you probably get paid in some aspects, but you know what I mean, right? So obviously you're not going to have incentive to start working on it until the renewal announcement. And so I get that part, but for a show like this, I don't know. It's just frustrating to me a little bit. It kind of goes along with the same trend of a lot of these shows, even like Severance on Apple, right? It's a great example of, waiting to work on it. And even season 3, I'm not going to talk about it for this one, but I think the article came out this week sometime that John Turturro was talking about how, they're going to go into production on season 3 in July or August, I think he said, or something of this year. Like, this is a show that premiered early 2025 and they still haven't even went to production. Like, not even for 6 more months are they going to go into production for season 3? Now, I mean, even that show, like, I feel like they had a complete overhaul of the writer's room from season 2 to 3. So there's some stuff going on with that as well. I mean, you got to give them some slack for having a whole new team of writers come in and try to, break some of these episodes. But anyways, it's just frustrating. Is it a show that has like a insane cliffhanger at the end of season 1 that I need to see the next season? Like a Severance, that's a great example. No, not really, right? Like, it was a very satisfying ending to the season, but I also do want to see more because I felt like season 1 in some ways was almost like a prologue to the actual show that's really going to get going here in season 2 in the actual main kind of motivation of Carol, the main plot of the series, right, is saving the world, basically, right, where we end off in the finale. So, I just really would have liked to see this a little sooner. But again, season 2 probably is going to be really great, as season 1 was. So I guess it's worth the wait in that aspect. Give them some time, give Vince Gilligan some time to work on these episodes, to get them right, to get them perfect. But yeah, it's just a little frustrating when you see some other shows, being able to do this. And again, I wouldn't, to me, Pluribus and The Pit, not really comparable in terms of, that kind of elevated quality. I think The Pit's still a good show for sure. It's just, I don't know, like Pluribus to me is a little bit of a different level. So I don't really compare the two. I think the article it's a little dishonest to compare The Pit with this and the time frames of stuff. However, it is glaring, right, that you see a show like The Pit being able to do that and Pluribus not being able to do that. And even the other thing is a lot of other Apple shows have been better, a lot better, at being able to push out seasons pretty fast. Your Friends and Neighbors, the John Hamm show, a perfect example of this, actually, where I think it was very similar to Pluribus, where they got 2 seasons ordered, or at least they renewed season 2, like, before season 1 even came out. And season 2 is premiering in, like, a couple months from now, right? And season 1 was, like, early 2025 or mid-2025, so they're going to be able to get that one out within a year. Now, probably less special effects, less extras and all this stuff that Pluribus has, but still, I mean, it's comparable at least. So yeah, very odd news here. I was a little disappointed, to be honest. But yeah, so it sounds like probably the earliest we could see this is, early 2027. Right, I think this is basically confirmation that it's not going to be this year for Pluribus season 2. But I don't know. Again, like, I think he's being a bit of a tongue-in-cheek. Like, he's saying the question is what year. I mean, I don't think it's going to be that long. I would say it's probably going to be earlier than November 2027. But I don't know. Maybe I'm have too much faith in it, and maybe he is right. Maybe it'll be 2028, right? I don't know, but we'll see. Anyways, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this news. Were you a little disappointed like me when you heard this, that season 2, might be a little longer than we thought? Are you surprised? Maybe not even. So anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts on this one for sure. All right. So lastly then, I just wanted to mention this one quick. Probably not going to spend too much time on it because we are running a little long here with this episode. But just going to make sure that we're all good on the quality. All right, awesome. Okay, so the last one here is another Apple show, and it is Sugar. So Sugar Season 2, the premiere date here is announced. It will be Friday, June 19th. For Sugar Season 2. So this was released as part of, I guess, like Apple's press day that they had, where they had a bunch of panels on some of these upcoming shows. And in the article here, they do have some images for the season. So obviously, and one of them is with Shea Wingham, by the way, which I'm looking at, which is awesome. I didn't even know that he was in it. So that's really cool. To see that he'll be in it. One of my favorite actors in TV. He's just really great, and all the shows that he's in are like always good. So hopefully that bodes well for this. So Sugar Season 1, what a roller coaster, right? For those who have seen it, like what an insane twist to that series. Now I will say I think people little over exaggerate the level of that twist because by episode 3 I would say of season 1. It's pretty, I don't want to say obvious, but like it's pretty clear that something is not quite right or that something isn't quite adding up with the character of Sugar to the point where when it actually is, revealed, if you will, in episode 6, it still hit to me, but it was like, okay, yeah, all right, like that tracks. Right? But anyways, regardless, it was still a really crazy twist, a really big swing to take for a show like this. And yeah, it was super memorable. Also, just besides the twist, like what a really well-directed, well-shot series. I thought the writing was really great throughout it. And Colin Farrell, really great performance. Really great performance. I thought Eric Lang was also really good. There were some other great, James Cromwell as well. So yeah, some really great performances throughout season 1, and I thought it came together really well. Now, I am excited for season 2, and obviously that's what this article is about. The premiere being set for June 19th, which now I'm trying to remember. So Sugar was in 2024, right? And I think it was the first half of 2024, I want to say. I want to say like April or May maybe. So this is going to be like 2 years, I guess. It doesn't seem like that long to me, but I guess it is going to be about 2 years since season 1. And to me, after season 1, I'm thinking, okay, that was a really good season. I don't know that I was necessarily expecting. I mean, when the news that it got renewed for season 2, I was a little surprised, to be honest. And then now reading this article, which we'll get into in a second here, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts if you've seen season 1. What you think of this? Like, are you excited for this season? I just don't really know what direction they're going to go. And I think that's going to really, my feelings of the season are going to rely heavily on which direction they're going to go with this. Like, is it going to be kind of like an anthology type of approach where, we obviously get the same character of Sugar as Colin Farrell returning here, but is it going to be like a whole new story with all different characters, or are we going to continue, the season 1 story, and some of the stuff that happens with the twist, I'll just say, are we going to explore more of that world? Is it going to be like part of the season not going to be taking place on Earth, if you know what I mean? So I'm just not sure what the approach here is. So anyways, we'll get into the article here, and maybe there'll be some more details. All right, so Apple TV unveiled a first look at the anticipated Season 2 return of Sugar, the acclaimed neo-noir detective drama starring and executive produced by Colin Farrell. The 8-episode second season of Sugar will make its return on Friday, June 19th on Apple TV with one episode followed by one new episode weekly, every Friday through August 7th. So that's interesting too, because Apple almost always does 2 episodes to begin. So just one, that is interesting. So this is just kind of like a synopsis of, basically the season 1 show. It's a unique take on one of the most popular and significant genres. Yeah, I think that's a fair take on it. So in addition to Farrell, the second season of Sugar introduced a brand new cast. So I think this is pretty much what I just talked about, right? I think that this is the direction they're going, though even with these new cast members, I don't know that that's like for sure confirming that we won't see some of the characters from season 1 again and have that kind of story bleed into this season. So again, I don't think we'll really know until the first episode actually releases and we watch it. Anyway, so it introduced a brand new cast, including Jin Ha, Raymond Lee, Tony Dalton, who I did talk about when this news came out. Amazing, right? Amazing as Lalo in Better Call Saul. So really excited to see him in this. Laura Donnelly, Sasha Callie, and special guest star Shea Wingham, who I already mentioned, who's in one of the images here. So yeah, really great list. I know a couple of those names, obviously Tony Dalton, Shea Wingham. Really big fans of both of them, so that should be cool. And it says season 2 of Sugar is showrun by Sam Catlin, who also executive produces. Then it says Simon Kingberg is involved and he produces, which is a bit of a red flag these days. But somehow season 1 was still really good. So anything Kingberg touches seems to be a little. Not so great, but for some reason, I don't know how he's involved with this, and it's actually still pretty good. I'm kind of joking, but it is something I've noticed. So interesting as well, Sam Catlin, of course, from Breaking Bad. I think that's where he mainly got his start. So wrote some amazing episodes of Breaking Bad on that writers team, and I think he wrote many episodes of season 1 as well. So that's great to hear that he'll be back. That's pretty much the only detail that we get from this article about the show. So again, I asked the question, what direction are they going to go? Obviously, we have this new cast. We have a lot of these new characters. But I'm just not sure if they're going to go back to season 1. Because the other thing here, too, is the twist is out there. I mean, it's been revealed, right? And they've also set up some mystery involving that reveal. So again, I'm just not sure if they're going to kind of maybe just forget about that, and then the show is just going to now function as a, regular neo-noir with just like the aspect of that just in the background that we already know it. Or are they really going to go into that and try to maybe even do another twist with that aspect of the story? So these are all questions that I have. Am I going to be watching season 2 like the night it premieres? Probably just because I'm really curious. But I also do think with all these questions that I've brought up, this does have a chance to really disappoint in the way that, okay, season 1 was good. It was kind of self-contained. I felt like it was a satisfying enough finale. This one might cause me to kind of rethink some of those thoughts about season 1. That's my only worry here. Do I think this could be really good and like one of my favorite seasons of the year? I do. I do think it has that potential. Season 1 was, why couldn't season 2 be that? It's just that the cat's kind of out of the bag here. So I'm just wondering what they're going to be doing with season 2. That's all. But like I said, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts if you agree or disagree. Or maybe you could point something out. Maybe there are some more details that I'm not aware of that you know of. Maybe point those out to me in the comments below. Let me know. But either way, we'll be watching Sugar Season 2 June 19th. So we're quite a ways out from it still. That's 4 months away. But it'll be here before you know it for sure. So I am looking forward to that. And it is good because there's not that many summer shows that I've seen so far. So really looking forward to this one. But anyways, love to hear your guys' thoughts on this news of Sugar Season 2 and if you'd be looking forward to it or not. All right. So that will just about do it then for all of our news topics here, I think, for this week's episode. Thank you for the few chats there. Appreciate that. About Pluribus and Daryl Dixon and all that stuff. Great to talk about that. But yeah, so that's about it. I did my top 10 episodes, my top 5 TV shows. Covered a lot of stuff here. Covered the news topics about Pluribus, Sugar, and the HBO Max pilots. I think that was about it. So, anyways, the next stream then will probably be, I'm not sure when, but it'll probably be about my year-end television awards. And then I'll also be doing my most anticipated TV shows, which will be in a separate video, not in a live stream format. But I am going to do the award show in the format. I did it last year like that, and I feel like it really worked out well that way. So, anyways, that'll just about do it then for this week's Let's Talk Television episode. I know we've been going a little long, so we should probably wrap it up. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode. And like I said, we'll see you hopefully next week, but maybe even sooner. I'm not sure, for my award show that I'll be doing. And I'm sure we'll talk about some other news topics as they come up as well for that one. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching.